Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm switching it up a bit. I am, sounds so weird, I am going to be focusing a lot on gardening for the next few weeks. It's a long and painful story, but the synopsis is basically that we had a lot of work done to our yard last year that went south weed-wise. And I have limited health and energy stores to get out there and really manage weeds. And so I've been trying to get out right now, especially while the weather is cool, to pull up weed remnants, put down some landscape fabric and other weed deterrents. And that takes a lot out of me, which makes it very hard to come in and be super creative. But there are some exciting things happening anyway, because I don't function if I go too long without creating. So here's the first thing. If I can, I don't have the best hand strength or dexterity either. Sorry for that noise. This is just a little bin that I did not realize was going to be so noisy, or I'd have opened it before I started. But behind the scenes, I have been working on a new DigiKit. I had gotten a host of envelopes, stamped, mailed envelopes from the 1930s and 40s. And I have some postcards, really old, antique, or just super vintage postcards that I really love. And I scanned them in. It took a long time to scan them all in, and I've been playing with them. And I just wanted to start making kits and ephemera using these. They're such a good, like, all-purpose kind of ephemera, papers, etc. So this is in the works. There's a couple tiny changes. I thought I was done, and I go to make, like, my third prototype in 3 days and realized that I've been playing with the width of this belly band, and I made the card that goes into the top pocket a little longer than it probably should be, and the same with this postcard. I had to trim it back. But yeah, I've got this lovely little folio that's in progress. And you'll see I've got a few different versions. That was one of the earlier prototypes with a little magnet closure, and this one went awry with the closure, but I did put a lovely little policy closure on it that I really like. And I've got these little tag strippies. Still working on this wonderful flappy floppy, oh, upside down. But it's got all kinds of good pockets and bits to play with. And tickets and small versions of the postcards and mini versions of the postcards. And honestly, I need to go back and copy and grab more of this. This is the inside of an envelope. You know how some of them have the, like, decorative inside, and I just really love the banner. That's honestly might be my favorite piece. And yeah, tags and tag holders. And so I'm playing with these. I'm trying to get the first one or two. I want to release them as little bits so that people can just get little pieces if there's stuff they're interested in. And then I often try to put together a bundle so that you can get everything all together if you want more than just one or two little bits. If there are certain types of papers or ephemera that kind of fall in line with this postal theme that you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments. I do have right now 3 backing papers I've put together that are collages of the envelopes, fronts and backs. But I'm going to be continuing to work on these and hopefully get them ready to release in the next few weeks. TBD on release time. Again, give me your feedback on what you'd like to see. And then to keep myself creative and sane while I focus the majority of my energy stores on gardening, I decided to go ahead and start the 100 Days Project, which starts today. I made this decision yesterday. And it probably sounds a little strange to start a challenge when you don't think you have a lot of time. But what it will do is help me focus so that I can come into my creative space and know exactly one thing that I can work on every single day. And on days when I have a lot of energy, I can use it as a jumping off point. I can take it as far as I want to. And on days when I have no energy at all, I can just spend a few minutes and do something simple. And that means I'm going to watercolor every day for 100 days. I am not, nor am I remotely interested in becoming a professional, strict watercolorist. Watercolor as a medium is my first love. Like, when I started to seriously get serious about art, watercolor was the sort of the gateway and the place that got my heart most invested. And for a little while, I really thought I was going to have to like learn how to do proper watercolor. And I needed to make paintings, full and complete paintings, completely in watercolor. And honestly, sometimes that happens, but a lot of times, watercolor is where my work starts. And then I work a lot of mixed media in and around it. And I really have gotten to a place where I'm comfortable with it, but I want to get to know my watercolors even better. And so this is about me exploring and playing and feeling even more confident day after day, picking up a brush and knowing what I want to do with my medium. The reason I love watercolor so much is because there's a certain amount of it that just does what it wants to do and is messy and uncontrolled. And I know that for very serious watercolorists, to some extent, the goal is to kind of get to a place where you have enough control that you kind of know what it's going to do. And I don't want that. So I like having as much of an idea as possible, sure. But I really just want to play. I want to get as familiar as possible with all of my paints. I have collected a lot of watercolor. That is not going to change. But I just want to play with it. I want to explore it more. I want to get to a place where I have greater comfort and expertise in the way that I like to work. And so I pulled together some materials that are going to help make this easier. Obviously, I will be using watercolor. What you can't see from this camera angle is that I have a host of drawers underneath this desktop, and those carry all sorts of different art supplies, including a lot of watercolor palettes. And so some of this is going to be me just pulling out a palette that I want to use that day and playing with it. I am trying to do more and more limited palette work, so that's definitely something we'll be doing. And there, again, may be days where I just grab a blank piece of paper and start doing something and make what is essentially a watercolor only painting. But I also want to make ephemera for use in my journals. I want to be able to just, on a day when I don't feel good and I don't have a lot of energy, just pick up a brush and some watercolor and essentially start coloring something in. And so I have started stamping a lot of watercolor paper to make it easy for me to just sit down and work. Many of these are, stamps I carved myself. So this pattern I've made of squares is from multiple uses of a stamp I carved. I've carved all these leaves. I did not carve these birds. This is the I think it's For the Birds set by Elizabeth St. Hilaire. It's available on Joggles. I love them. They make me happy. They're so wonky. Around them are some of my wonky labels that I've carved. I have a goal of making more of these, and depending on interest levels, I'll probably at least create some digikits with these at some point, probably even some postal ones. But I am considering whether or not it might be worth selling one-of-a-kind wonky labels. So if that's something you're interested in, please let me know, because I love carving them and I love how wonky they are. I've sketched out snails, I've sketched out flowers. These are some papers that came with some watercolor markers that I don't particularly like to use, but I have never painted them in. And honestly, with this, they almost look blank. But it's like, this is a bird of paradise flower. This is a pear, very lightly sketched. Again, I'm not even sure. There it is. I know it's showing up faintly. But they, this is supposed to be a feather. So those are papers I can pick up and paint on. I think I traced this because I've also made like little masks and stencils of that monstera leaf. This was for swatching. For some reason, I just have it hanging out. I like to swatch. Here's some mushrooms I had been working on. Here's a not great drawing of a cat that I will probably try to revive. But a lot of these, like I said, I'm just going to be able to pick them up at random on any given day. And I'm going to continue to do some prep like this so that on days when I just don't have a lot of energy, I can just grab some paints and go. And on days when I want to do abstracts, that's what this is for, primarily. Just paint abstracts. I've been putting them in here with the goal of then going back in the notebook and continuing to fill it out. Play with those scenes, that kind of stuff. And I've got some other notebooks and papers and things to play with. And we're going to just watercolor. And to that end, I think this is a good opportunity to, here, let's play a little with my newest watercolor. I swear, I should not be allowed to learn about new watercolors because I have very little willpower, especially when it comes to anything with separating pigments. So a lot of times they're just referred to as granulating, or I've seen super granulating watercolors, which is cool. But essentially it's just when watercolor granulates, there are a lot of them that may continue to essentially look like a single color. But if I'm explaining this weird, or if anybody is a better expert than I am, I apologize. My understanding is that the pigment sort of separates a little bit. And so you might get an effect where it's lighter and darker in different places, or essentially you see the little grains of the pigment more prominently. And in certain mixes, if you have multiple pigments in a paint color, they'll separate from each other and you'll start to see multiple colors. And so you could see right here some paint swatches. These are the Kuretake Gansai Tambi, one of the super granulating sets that they have. Like this blue separates into this lovely orange as well. This green separates into an orange. And I just picked these up from White Nights, and this is the 4-pack of their Brume colors, which are they're all kind of browny. And I don't have like a lot of granulating or super granulating colors that are more earthy. So I really was excited when I saw those. They do have other colors. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep myself from buying and trying those. And I have not gotten any farther than swatching them. So I really want to play with them some more. I want to be loose. So I'm getting the paper wet in a few of these boxes. Because I love working wet and wet. I am not being super precise about the lines. So my guess is that we're going to start to see things flow outside of the boxes, and that is just fine with me. I am in a splattery mood, so there's a good chance that we'll start to see some splatter here. But I just want to play with these 4 colors a little bit more than I have because they're so pretty. So we're just going to get this wet. So yeah, I have really severe seasonal allergies. I know a lot of people do. Unfortunately, my seasonal allergies are all seasons, especially bad in the seasons that most people struggle, like spring and fall. But really, they're year round, pretty bad. And so I am taking allergy shots. I've done some immunotherapy before; it has helped. These shots, I'm hoping, will help even more. But between taking a massive amount of Benadryl right after I've had a shot and exposing myself to a lot of allergens to get out and manage the garden, and then some other health issues I have that also cause chronic fatigue, like working in the garden for an hour or two really wipes me out. So that's the main reason I decided I needed to have a plan for how I was going to continue to be creative during this period of time, because I need it. Like, I need that creativity. But yesterday I came in after working outside for 2 hours and I was just so brain dead. I couldn't even think of what I might want to do. So it kind of came to me. I was reading a little bit about someone else who's getting ready to start their 100-day project. And I thought, I really just want to play more with my watercolor than I do. I have a tendency to play with it a little and but be very outcomes focused lately, and very project focused, and not nearly as playful and experimental as I prefer to be. And so this is a good opportunity for me to do that again, especially when I don't have the energy to do anything fancy. But ideally, there will be some days where, I'll come in here and work on a painting and maybe paint another hair or two. I do love to paint a hair. Or some other animals or flowers or something, and work on a more scaled up project. But some days I just might not feel like it. All right. So I just really love this red color. Okay. It's so funny. It's really rich and pigmented, and then once it's watered down enough, that pigment gets so quiet. All right, I want to drop a little in, so I'm going to do that here. And then nice and watered down in this last one. I'd be interested to see how the granulation occurs, depending on how much or how little water is in the mix. And that's the other thing. I think initially when I started playing with these like separating, granulating kind of colors, I felt weird about mixing them with each other because they already have multiple colors in them. But mixing or dropping them in really just continues to, I think, build on the exceptional properties these have. So, oh, Sassy, not right now, baby. I know, but I don't want you to get painty. I don't want you to get painty. I really didn't want you to have to get painted. You know, can we not? Can we not get painted? Can we not get painted? No? No? This is Mountain Brume. This color that Sassy is interrupting. It's really, they're just so cool. I am a lover of color, and for a long, long time, primarily bright colors. But lately, I have just had quite a love of neutrals, and particularly interesting or unusual neutrals. And I find that I love brown a lot more than I thought I did. Okay, yeah, I know. No, we don't want to get too in there. No, ma'am. Ma'am. Okay. You're officially getting down. My apologies. All right. And so yeah, these, because they're separating, granulating, it's just really like extra interesting browns for me. Okay, and this last one is the green. It's Forest Brume. Here, let's start on this side. And again, they're super pigmented, like almost upsettingly pigmented. It's like dark. Like I don't understand how they're so deep. But it's really cool. This is the first time I've worked with any white knights, so for all I know, that's very common for them. It does make me want to try a typical set. And by the way, they don't call these, they do have a granulating set. It is a little bit more of a traditional concept of granulating, where it's like a color that the pigments granulate out of, rather than this sort of almost multicolored situation. And these are called their Metamorphoses. Metamorphoses. I forget. Has something to do with metamorphosis. Because of the degree of color separation and change. So that's something to be aware of here. Just trying to drop stuff in a couple of places. And then ultimately, it's going to be about letting them dry. And with these kinds, it's ideal to let them dry naturally. That's how the most interesting separation occurs. So if you go at them with a heat gun, you may not get nearly as fun results as if you just let them dry on your own. I told you I wanted to splatter, and I meant it. And since I'm splattering while the paint is still wet, it will blend where it's hitting wet watercolor. Ooh. I may do some additional splattering after this dries and come back so that there's less blending. By the way, this is my initial paper where I played around with the colors when I first swatched them, and I did a little bit of mixing. And this is not watercolor paper, and I was not doing anything precious or interesting. I'll just cut this into collage fodder later. But I thought it'd be neat to show that. I'm going to continue to, I don't like to waste paint. And by the way, using paint is not what I think of as wasting paint. So, of I want to play around and experiment, that is not wasting paint. The only time I'm wasting paint is if I have a lot of pigment left on my brush and I don't do anything with it except put it in water and rinse it off. So I almost always paint on my under paper here or on, you know, random scrap pieces of paper that I will use as collage fodder and things like that. I just want you to take a good look. It's still wet. It's not painted down, so it's doing all kinds of things here. But just like look at all of that color. Look the way it's changing. Yeah. So I'm gonna need more of these. I love color separating, granulating paint. And oh, I stuck my finger in it. So let's come here and we're just gonna make some intentional blobs. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, 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 boop. Sorry for the singing. If you don't like it, you're welcome for the singing if you do. And since we did that extra intentional splatter, let's do this real fast. I'm going to let this dry, so I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'll come back when it's completely dry so you can see the finished result. All right, it's been a few hours actually. I had stuff to do, but sorry, I'm trying to get these close up in the shot for you. I mean, it's just gorgeous the way that these blend and play and all of the color variations and gradations. It's just incredible. So I don't know what I'll use this for. Maybe a background, maybe add it to a journal, maybe have it with a kitty. Oh, actually just realized you might not be able to hear me super well, so I apologize if that was quiet. But yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I'm really excited to see where else the 100 Days Watercolor Journey takes me. And I don't know for sure that that's what I'll be doing. I won't be doing videos on watercolor for the next 100 days. I will be doing other things too. Don't worry about that. I'm thinking about doing some videos as part of Mass Make March and some other things like that. So there will definitely be watercolor in there, especially when I don't have a lot of energy, but there will be a lot of other stuff too. So if you enjoyed this, or if any of that sounds fun and interesting to you, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. Comment and let me know what you want to see. If you want to see a lot of watercolor, that's helpful. If you want to see Mass Make March videos, or you know, if you have ideas about what kinds of things I should include in my postage digikit, please write in the comments and let me know, and let Sassy know, because she's very interested as well, as you can see. And we'll see you again soon.